Dive into the dynamic world of entrepreneurship, innovation, and business with CapLander, hosted by Jody and Morgan of J. Consulting. Whether you're invested in the private capital markets, building your own venture, or curious about the entrepreneurial spirit, this podcast unpacks the latest trends, insights, and opportunities shaping today's market and the people driving what's next. CapLander connects the dots between personal and professional life because how you do anything is how you do everything. Featuring expert guests, deep discussions, and a dynamic mother-daughter duo, CapLander is your go-to resource for staying informed and inspired. Hi, Jody.
Hi, Morgan. How are we doing today?
I mean, I don't know if I'm doing as well as you are, considering where you are.
I'm in Italy right now. I spent a couple days in London working, and that's great to have a global footprint. And now I am here in Italy, in Matera, which is like a UNESCO World Site and pretty phenomenal. While you are sleepless in St. Louis. I mean, no, not sleepless, but you're
pregnant in St. Louis. I'm like
very pregnant.
Yes, I am in the home stretch now of pregnancy where after next week, so whenever this episode comes out, I guess it'll be the week of, baby is cooked full term. So
yeah, she's also head down, which is great because I think you were worried. It's actually interesting because you call her your little lady and you had a conversation with your little lady and told her, listen, here's the deal, while you were doing somersaults in the pool and all kinds of other.
I really did. I truly did. So,
yeah.
No, because she's been floating around and I am very determined to give birth to this baby the way that she went in is the way that I'd like her to come out. And so when we were at the doctor's appointment,
the way that she went in, where did she go in?
Well, she went in one way, and I'd like her to go out the same way she got in.
God. All right.
Yep, that's
we are uncensored and unfiltered here at CapLander.
Yep, it's a two-way street, so you can drive up and you can drive out. So that's where we're headed. But it is funny because when I left the doctor's appointment for the 32-week scan or whatever it is, she was like, she's got to get herself down there, but there are things that you can do to kind of encourage it. And I'm definitely more of the holistic health person in general. So I did acupuncture, and then I also have been swimming throughout my pregnancy. So the flip turns naturally help, but then I did add on some handstands to the end of my workout. And I don't know if there was anything in particular that did it.
All of it.
Or all of it. But regardless, she is nicely head down, and now we just kind of weigh it out.
Yeah. Well, you've done a good job. In addition, what's the little thing, the stand thing that you have on your desk that I gave you?
Which one?
What does
You're doing
a
great fucking job.
Yeah, you're doing a great fucking job, not only with work, but at home and with this baby. So hats off to you.
Well, I do have I think part of what's interesting, so there's a couple of things that I think so we had baby shower last weekend and it was so much fun. And I understand why people do these things ahead of time, but I think it's kind of cruel because you only really do it for the first baby. Like, I don't think you do a baby shower every time you're pregnant, right?
I don't think, I had a little baby shower with the second time, but it wasn't as impactful. The first time is really like your whole life is going to change and it impacts every aspect of your life. And I sort of set that 2 in 1 that, meet people. And also it's so exciting for the family to have the first one. Yeah. First grandchild, first great grandchild, first to your family.
Yeah. It was really special. And like you could feel it where, especially because this is the first grandchild on both sides, that everybody together really, you could just feel that it was shifting a little bit, like getting ready for the next generation. So it's hard to describe, but it is really, you see how it's a family affair.
Yeah.
I have determined that baby showers are far superior to bridal showers and things like that because I think weddings can bring up a lot of mixed emotions for families just in general. Whereas the thing about a baby shower is everybody loves a pregnant
excited.
Bitch.
Right.
Yeah, everyone loves a pregnant bitch. And second of all, a lot of people love babies.
Everyone loves it. Well, the whole circle of life is very important. And I think that's also, very healthy to have perspective on things. And when you're having a time in your life where maybe it isn't as easy, or you're really on a growth curve, or you're feeling tired out physically or emotionally or intellectually, and somehow a new baby, there's something about it. I've seen today, because it was been pretty warm here, a couple of babies just sort of like pass the fuck out on somebody's shoulder, like with like the little mouth open and the rolls of fat, and just simple, like as cute as could be, really like edible cute. And
Yeah.
everyone looks at it and says, that's so sweet.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, because 'cause they're so innocent and they're so little, like, they're just these little tiny people. So, I mean, the clothes alone, I could absolutely just go on and on and on about, but since we are gonna weave in some work here before we introduce our guest, I think there's really 2 things, to touch on. One is we've seen that M&A activity has been really through the roof, and one of the recent acquisitions that I read about was actually Peloton bought this, it's called Scott Pilates, and they're smart reformer machines for people to use at home. So they kind of track, like, if you're standing on the reformer, like, where your weight distribution is and how your form is, because so much of Pilates are those little movements, and you
And can you
being
fold this thing up? Is it like, or it's a big machine?
I think it's somewhere in between. I don't think you can fold it up, but Peloton has reported how popular Pilates has been on their
I do it like
platform.
5 days a week.
Right, so that's kind of where, especially you being on the road, like, I know you take the Forma classes, the travel classes,
Love. And I
which
bring a
are
ball and a band, but now even Forma Pilates, which I can't say enough about, they have come up with a whole series that require no equipment. So you can really do it on the go. Like, you hardly have an excuse not to.
right, so I think that some of these acquisitions have really made a lot of sense. I mean, I saw Scott Pilates because they're a California-based company, and I always like to see what's going on, but I think it's interesting because some people have had not necessarily negative things to say about it, but Peloton in general has obviously during COVID, they were really popular and they
I've gone back and
acquired.
forth with it. I had a Peloton bike and then I stopped with the bike, but then I have the Peloton app because I wanted to be able to do things on the go. And now I still pay for it, but I kind of feel like I could skip it.
I'm the opposite. I have
You love
been
it.
I
Yeah,
love
you're
it.
into it.
Yeah, I bought the bike in 2020 in the middle of COVID, and it got delivered to me then, and I schlepped that bike with me from San Francisco to St. Louis, and then I schlepped that bike from an apartment in St. Louis to my house, and
I
I
schlepped my
still
bike
ride it.
from San Francisco to Florida, and then I sold it because I literally never used it once.
Yeah, no, I consistently get on my bike 2, 3 times a week, and I take their strength classes religiously,
Yeah, good for
easily.
you. That's why you're such a badass.
Yeah, honestly, you could like and I've seen a difference because I did not necessarily understand a lot of the weight things of it, even though I've always been an athlete, but I
Those
like the
Tabata
whole.
classes where you have the impact, they say those are the best, where you
Yeah.
like, get in there for a certain period of time and then you back off and then you get in there and you go hard for a certain period of time and the short increments.
Right, exactly. So I've seen a big difference with all of that, but I was actually excited to read about the acquisition because sometimes I think that the mat Pilates classes, depending on who's teaching it, can be too easy, and actually having access to a reformer at home because the classes to go to are expensive versus you pay $49 a month for
Wow.
Peloton and you get everything.
I would love that. I have to look into this and see.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. So we recapped baby shower. We talked about acquisition. I think the last piece of like little pop culture, which is going to lead us into our guests, but the World Cup is obviously happening,
Oh my God,
right?
crazy.
Right. So
Crazy.
world,
People
right.
going crazy, and all the people who are in parts of the world where they never would have gone, and the food they're eating and the experiences they're having is so fun to watch.
Yes. So the Scots have been in Boston. And I was watching TV the other night and they were talking to bar owners and brewery owners and they said that these Scots have been clearing out all of their inventory. Like they have never seen people drink so much beer as the Scottish people in Boston for the World Cup.
Oh my God, right? It's a whole I mean, listen, in the United States, especially in certain parts, it's turned into more of that non-drinking. I have a girlfriend who went to a wedding and it was a dry wedding. I mean, they were, I think, all doing drugs. So you pick your lane, but I think that, we, the Scots and other parts of Europe and England and other countries, it's just more of it doesn't have to be a go crazy all the time. It's like slow and steady wins the day. It's like people know how to behave.
Yeah. Well, the slow and steady, I think, is a really good introduction for our guest today. So,
Yes.
Margaret,
And she's Irish, so it's even more
yes,
fun.
exactly. So, Margaret O'Leary is the CEO and creative director of Margaret O'Leary, which is a heritage driven, employee owned knitwear house crafting real clothing for real lives. It's rooted in Irish knitwear tradition and San Francisco's independent spirit. And we're so excited to have Margaret join us today. Hello, Margaret. Welcome to the CapLander podcast.
Thank you, Morgan.
Are you coming to us live from Mill Valley, Margaret, or where are you?
Live from Mill Valley, California.
So, for those who have not met you or had the pleasure of an MOL sweater or seen one of your stores or your merchandise someplace, tell us a little bit about who you are and the business that you've created.
Okay, yes, I am Irish born, as you can probably tell by the sound of my voice, west coast of Ireland. And I said I'd love to come to California one day. And what would I do? Okay, so I didn't know that much, but I knew a lot about sweaters, among other things. But I said, let's do this. Let's see if, and I happened to be lucky enough to land in San Francisco, where nobody can tell you this in advance. It's always cold, even in the summer.
Right.
And guess what? The talent of making sweaters just fit right in. So that's basically my start.
Did you always like clothes? Like, were the clothes something that you were always drawn to?
I always loved clothes because I was raised on a farm and everybody wore their kind of dirty clothes or yucky clothes. They only dressed up once a week, and that was for Sunday mass.
Yeah, I was
As
gonna say
you
for
know,
church. Yeah.
most Irish people are Catholics. Like
Right.
I think 99.9% are.
Right.
So you go to church every day, and that was the opportunity to dress up. So you dress in your finest. What the rest of the week, you look like a tinker, like really slopped
Casual,
together.
right.
Yeah,
So
knee
work
deep in
clothes.
cow dung, right?
Right.
Changing out from chickens, hens, cows, the whole thing. So it was very glamorous to dress up for Sunday mass. I don't think I was paying attention to the religion, but
No, you
more
were
like,
just glad for the agency to be able to get dressed up and go.
yes, yes, yes. And in Catholic Church, there's this thing called Holy Communion, and you kind of parade all the way down to the priest, and you receive communion, and then it's like a little runway show, if you will.
Well,
And then and that's how the fashion happened in my life.
and you started always with you had your first Margaret O'Leary store. It was at in Mill Valley.
It was in downtown San Francisco,
Oh,
a
yeah, I
little,
remember this one. This was like in a little an alley, right? What was the
yeah,
name of that
off of
street?
Claude Lane.
Claude Lane. And as I also recall, doesn't your sister also work with you?
Yes, my sister worked in the Claude Lane store forever.
Yeah,
Now she's at the Fillmore store.
I've seen her
And
there.
yeah, so yeah, I was in Claude Lane for 30 years until COVID happened. And that was the end of downtown San Francisco.
And how many physical stores do you have now?
I have 14, and number 14 is in Montecito, Santa Barbara area.
And through all of this with an online presence versus brick and mortar, I feel like myself having come from retail and fashion and, and also like we say this and, being a compensation data and consulting firm, we used to publish reports and then we moved everything to our online platform. And now everybody wants to see a report again. So for you, did you ever transition the business to having more of an online presence and you've always kept the brick and mortar, or how have you navigated that?
I think both businesses help each other. So if one is shopping online with their glass of wine at night, then
Right.
they can actually visit the brick and mortar store the following day and
Yeah,
see this
try it
product.
on.
in reality, and they may go home, and if they have a slow bicycle, they may not, they may wait for a few more days, right? So
Right.
there's a lot of different types of consumer, but actually the online helps the brick and mortar. So I think they can
Has people in
coexist.
the store too. What I
Yeah.
also really appreciate about how you stock your stores too is that you could easily go in and put together an entire outfit because you've always, from the Mill Valley store in particular, I always remember that you've had amazing boots and high quality leather boots, and you've had great denim, and
Yeah.
then
And bags.
organic cotton t-shirts and long sleeves, and then of course the sweaters and the scarves and everything else. So if you walked in and you were like, "Oh, I need an outfit or I need something together," or whatever it is, you could walk into the Margaret O'Leary store and come out with everything that you needed. Plus, if you wanted to spend on jewelry, you had the jewelry piece and the belt, like quite literally
Yeah.
every ingredient for an outfit.
That's right. Head to toe, we call that. Head to toe, out the door. All we need is a credit card.
I'm telling you, I am here in Seattle right now, and from Seattle,
Seattle?
I'm in St. Louis. Sorry, I was in
You're
Seattle
in
last week.
Seattle? Okay.
I've been in my yeah. I'm a little delayed. I'm in St. Louis, but I was in Seattle last week. That's where it came from. And I'm going to London, and then I'm going to Italy. And do you know, in my bag are two pieces of Margaret O'Leary shawls that I bought from your beautiful store, one in gray and like one in a green, and they're with me. And that just shows you, which I think is really it, is that your
Oh,
stuff stands the test of time. And what you do is
thank you.
you also integrate modern styles, but you keep some really classic stuff.
Thank you so much, Jody. I so much appreciate that. And so much appreciate all the customers of Margaret out there. I always
Yeah.
want to hear from you.
I
Well,
think the, biggest piece, even when I was looking, kind of doing homework ahead of time, and obviously, Reddit is such a online presence where people talk, right? And somebody had written a Reddit post saying, "I've never heard of Margaret O'Leary, and I saw somebody selling something on Poshmark in Canada. Like, can somebody tell me about this brand, like, from their own experience?" And everything that was written about it talked about how the fit was
Mm,
impeccable and how the quality was high, and that depending on what type of item you bought, they were
mhm.
investment pieces that really withstood the test of time.
yeah.
And as you know, to get on the soapbox with Jody over here, is that my grandmother has given me sweaters that she's no longer wearing and that are thick. And you cannot even see any real ounce of wear.
And she
And
just
she's
gave you that gray one. So I would
right.
buy at your
Mhm.
stores this is I was like the generational sandwich, which I still am, right? I would buy for my mom and I would buy for my daughter. And my mom now being in Fort Lauderdale, you keep the sweaters because you don't want to part with them. But then it turns out 4 or 5 years later, you realize you haven't worn them because it just never gets that cold. And so my mom finally passed on to Morgan some of the sweaters that she was reluctant to give away. And the Margaret O'Leary, it was like a gray, almost like car coat, fingertip length to her knee, one of your cashmere ones.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
fun.
thought,
So I'm interested to know, in terms of, beyond the fashion piece, you've obviously been a very formidable businesswoman. So tell us a little bit about that. And for, folks that are listening, especially coming in the retail and the fashion business, it's been tricky to stay relevant. What are the tricks to staying relevant? What are like the top lessons that you've learned that you impart to those that are trying to stay in the fashion business?
I think loving what you do is key. And then staying relevant, it's like, I think we always need something new. Us women, you can never have enough clothes, right, Jody? Come on, right? There's
Yeah.
always
And it's
something
what
to
they
throw
say,
on.
nothing feels as good as new and nothing tastes as good as thin. That's my mantra.
Oh,
I love
that's
it.
gonna get you in trouble on the
I
second
want to
part of it.
feel that.
Whatever, I'm gonna
That,
say it again. Nothing
yeah.
feels as good as new and nothing tastes as good as thin.
I am definitely going to steal that line.
See?
Um, but that's it. You love what you do, and all the rest flows from there. So I say what to my friends, oh, what do you want next in your closet? Or what are we looking for, right? Okay. Jean rise going down, that means the sweaters go down in length,
Uh,
right? And so there's always a trend. And women will always love fashion and love something new, no matter what.
So what do you see trending now? What are people buying more than anything else, and what have you seen change from the consumer side over the last couple of years?
I think that we are now in the middle of global warming. So I think when I am making sweaters, I'm making more lightweight and a lot of cashmere. And also, I'm trying to make pieces that fit in a suitcase and
Yeah,
can
right.
slide.
That's the part of the handoff of why some of your
Yeah,
bigger pieces like stay in a closet because they take up too much
yeah,
space in a suitcase. That's like the scarves that I have
yeah,
from you are the
yeah,
Italian ones that, and
yeah,
they are really fun. You can roll them up and
yeah,
they're, you're able to
yeah,
pack and go.
yeah. So I would say trending are very lightweight, super fine, um, knitwear, and easily things that can you can throw in a suitcase and almost have hand luggage because nobody wants to check in luggage anymore. You know, and then trending in jeans, everybody's going trending low rise back again. We've gone high, high, high. Now we're going to go down, down, down. And it's,
Too restrictive. I don't like the high. I like the low.
yeah, like everyone is a little different, but I've seen this cyclical change over the years. Remember when like they were
Right.
so low, they were like 2 inches rise,
Right.
and then they they don't like go overnight into high, and then they don't go overnight into low rise. So they kind of go down about a half an inch every year. So
But
it'll be
baggier, right?
right, super baggy. I mean, barrel is still very trending. And then Bermudas. I'm seeing a lot of Bermudas that just came back from Milan, and it's all about the Bermudas.
What else did you see in Milan? What are are people wearing like the Bermudas for work with a blazer or is it more casual?
Absolutely. Bermuda, tight little knit top, and then throw the blazer over it if you
Yeah,
will.
love that.
Yeah, and heels.
Yeah.
You can't just wear the Bermudas and wear
Right. Because
flat
if you're gonna
shoes.
go with that type of look, then you need to balance it with something
Yeah,
more feminine on the other side of it. Otherwise, it's too like, if you put a sneaker with that, it's not gonna be the right vibe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, Morgan. Precisely. That's it.
Yeah.
So you gotta have the little kitten heel to go with.
Right.
What
Right.
have you seen be the biggest like, what have you been your biggest investment pieces outside of the sweater lane? Like, are you more into the jewelry or a handbag, or kind of what are the things where if you have a high knit or like a high quality cashmere sweater, then what are you wearing with that?
Uh, I always like a nice watch. And
Oh, you're the second person. We had a guy on our podcast and he said that he's got a
yeah,
men's skincare line in men's health, and that's what he said too.
yeah. So I steal my husband's Rolex because he's got a few and they always look great.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially I like that look, especially when you have like a delicate sweater and a chunky watch. There's
Yeah,
something really nice about that too.
exactly. Exactly. So
And what
that
about
would
sort of the
be
hippy dippy jewelry? Because you've always carried sort of cool stuff. I mean, I have one of the pieces on
yeah.
underneath here from Lulu Design, Stacy
Yes.
Lotus. I put it on a different chain. And Morgan, you have this one too. And we got some of these at your store. What else are you carrying in terms of like the jewelry?
I have a great little I have a designer that I'm working with out of Santa Barbara called Erin Flynn, and she is doing Irish inspired jewelry. She's going to do a Claddagh necklace. Have you heard of the Claddagh ring?
No.
It's an Irish wedding ring, and it has three symbols: a heart for love, hands for friendship, and a crown for loyalty. And we are going to make a very special Margaret piece called the Claddagh necklace.
Oh, that's nice.
Claddagh.
So, was there any point in the last if you started your business in the early 90s in San Francisco where you thought about taking outside capital, or have you ever raised capital for your business, or kind of what have you done to be able to scale?
That's a great question, Morgan. I am not that big a company, so I never raised capital because it gives me the freedom to do
Oh,
as I want at the pace that I want to do it.
yeah, you're speaking my
Um,
language.
right. So it's like, hey, why do I have to grow overnight and be whatever, a Quince or an Everlane? Because you're just answering to investors then. So I just grow slowly. So I'm not a huge company at all, but I love having the privilege of growing at the pace that I want and not having investors on my back.
Margaret, did you ever feel pressure to raise capital? Like when you hit those inflection points where you kind of really had to think about what you wanted to do for the route of the business and how you wanted things to go?
I have had dialogue with a few people that said, "Oh, let me partner with you," or I took those calls, and then I realized I'd be giving up all my freedom,
Yeah.
so I never did. And
Yeah.
because it's not the money is actually not that important. You can have a certain amount of money, but I don't need to be a trillionaire or
Yeah.
billionaire.
Morgan and I have this conversation all the time because especially as Morgan is, expecting her first child and the balance of lifestyle. And also, I know Margaret, we know each other also because our kids were in school together and they were in the same school. I think Blake was in the same grade as one of your children, as I.
Charlie, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And I think, being working moms and we were both not married at the time when the kids were littler and,
Yeah,
running businesses and really hustling. And I think the fact that we could flex our time was really important. And at a certain point, if you were not worried about putting food on the table or paying for your mortgage, you were like the independence and being your own boss was worth the trade off of maybe a little bit uncertainty because it also has kept us incredibly honest and hardworking because we were motivated, but it was on our own timetable and our own terms. And Morgan, I say that to you because you're in the family business and you have the luxury of that as well. Where,
yeah,
okay, there may be times a little more money might be helpful, but the reality is at least if you need to take care of something with your family, you don't have to ask permission. Like that's part and parcel of what goes into your independence working in the family business in a namesake firm.
that's precisely that's right. So you have to juggle being a what we were single parents for a long, long time, and you you learn how to work with all of it.
Yeah.
And now, because we don't have to go into offices all the time,
Yeah.
we actually maybe work harder because we're always online, aren't we? Right?
Yeah, you can't stop
So,
thinking about it. What
yeah.
what was there ever a time with your 2 kids, I say this from a personal experience, where you were like, "Holy shit, I'm not getting it done for my kids what they need." Like, was there any time one of your kids said something to you that was like a call to conscience where you thought,
Oh,
"Oh, no."
I remember my kid was playing baseball one day, and I said, Jack, that's a long, boring game. Can you just text me when you're going to be up to bat? He
Right.
said, Mom, I got you covered. I got you covered. You don't have to come over and waste all that time. Like, I know you have to work. But yeah, so
And
I
as you
kind of,
said it and you heard those words come out, you thought to yourself, "Is that okay? Like, is that gonna
yeah,
be that doesn't sound the way that I would expect a mother to talk to the child." But as
right.
it turns out, your kids are great and they love you and you're a integral
That's
part
right.
of their life. So, however, I think that maybe that's the lesson here is it doesn't have to just be one way. There are a lot of different ways.
Right. And you don't have to measure yourself against some other mom that perhaps is not, full time working.
Right.
So,
Well, that's like the age-old saying where they say comparison is the thief of joy, right? Where when you get
right.
into that lane, it's a total lose-lose, and that's really where I think, social media is just the absolute worst because you're only seeing a very well curated piece of the entire picture, and it might be like the bottom left-hand corner, but you're looking at it and you think it's the
The
whole
whole lens.
everything, and it's not.
Precisely.
Um
Precisely.
with these, so we have a lot of people who listen to the podcast who are have side hustles or are thinking about starting their own business or doing something. But a direct to consumer brand has really evolved over the last couple of years, just in how marketing is done. Period. So you've mentioned that you have the online site which feeds the brick and mortar stores, but what have been your biggest challenges and triumphs in terms of reaching new people and getting the word out about your clothing and having if somebody searching cashmere sweater, brown V-neck to make sure that you're coming up?
Yeah, that's very interesting because I know very little about marketing,
Yeah.
very little about social media, and so much is done by paying for Google ads or Meta ads or whatever, or getting likes on Instagram, and it is important. So while I don't have the talent to do that, I have brought onto my team a marketing expert, and I you got to pay to play. So
Yeah, that really is. And it is a really a direct correlation for this. We've had a guest on where they do luxury resale, and it's their family business has said the same thing, that they have just straight put dollars behind it, and it is a direct correlation where the more money you put into it, the
yeah,
more visibility and the higher ranking you get out of it.
exactly. And it's kind of like a math project now. I'm going to spend over here and I'm going to look at the sales I get. And
Right.
Yeah.
that's
You have to track it.
precisely that's precisely, Morgan, how it
And
works.
with women of our vintage, you have to outsource it because at least we know enough that to know that that's not our area. I think that's probably something that comes with being a seasoned executive and founder
Yeah,
and innovator is that you're clear where you're like the sweater has to be X, Y, and Z, but the
yeah.
marketing needs to be, I don't know, you do it. That's your area.
Marketing is whatever. My girl is going to wear it and she's going to throw it over her shoulders and go do prance around or be in the mirror, all sorts. But that's what it takes nowadays to get the generation, your generation, Morgan.
Yeah.
They're like you're all shopping online. I see
Yeah,
my son and his wife, and it's all shopping online. Or I saw it on Instagram and they pushed the
right.
button.
It's
I've even did
nauseating.
stuff on Instagram, right? It's crazy. It's so tempting.
Yeah,
No, it's nauseating. I think the marketing realm in general is I find it even to be in the age group where I am a perfect target for it in the demographic, I find it to be overwhelming because it's like whack-a-mole and it's all very closely tied together. So you whack over here and then the little thing pops up over there and you're like, "Okay, hold on. Like this is
right.
this is it. I'm tired. My
Yeah,
hand's tired." But this is
right.
the thing about like what you mentioned too when you are your own when you work remote or you have a home office and you're not going into an office every day, you're not really ever off. Even if you're
Yeah,
standing in your kitchen cutting vegetables for dinner, you're not necessarily not thinking about work. You're just not sitting at your desk. But
Yeah.
that does
yeah,
not mean that you're not tuned into what's going on around you.
exactly. And I I miss those days of real clothing stores and going in and touch, feel, buy. It's like Barney's come back, right?
Right. Yesterday, Morgan and I went to the Nordstrom Rack, and that's as closest to a stocked store that I've seen in a long time. All the while, around the corner, Saks is now closed. And,
Yeah,
they're right. And it's nice to see merch in person because
yeah.
it's online. It does look different. I mean, and I don't even, and I like that. See, me, I'm an aesthetic person. I like the visual piece of it.
Look, I tried things on yesterday that I never ever, ever would have picked online. And that is the difference where like I was looking at your new arrivals on your website before we talked today and I saw the
Me
linen
too.
sets and the dresses with the polka dots, which I don't think my baby bump would be able to zip myself into right now, but
Yeah, you'll
and
get
like
there.
right, and the tie-dye shirts and everything else, like all of the spring clothes and the
Yeah,
summer clothes, but it's like it really is different to stand at a store because you see things in a way where you're like, "Why not try this on?" Like, as my
Exactly.
mom and Jody always says, like, "It's free to try it on." Like, there's no harm, and that's
yeah,
part of it where but if you have to buy it online and check out with your credit card and then wait for it to get to you, and then you're like, "Well, I bought I would have tried more on, but I don't want that sitting on my credit card because then my statement's gonna close on this day, and then what if I don't keep everything and I wanna return it? Like, then you get into the number game in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And
the
it's a
best,
gamble. It's a crapshoot. Like, does it fit?
yeah.
Okay. Ooh, so I got the wrong size. Okay, back it goes.
What do you think
So
is the best department store today where you actually have gone to shop anywhere in the world? What has been your retail therapy go-to where you find it to be like, this is bliss?
hmm, well, can I move outside of the US? Can I
Yes.
Yes,
go
it's
to
anywhere
Paris?
globally, because my favorite store is Selfridges in London because
That, that's mine and Bon Marché in Paris.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Better than Galerie Lafayette for me. Bon Marché is
Yes,
just so divine. I have to go to
yes.
be I'm gonna be in Amsterdam in September, and then I was thinking, well, it's right there. Like you're right above France. So maybe I could go to France. And I thought to myself, just to go relax for a few days, go shop around, to have a day to go through Bon Marché. You can even
Yes.
get your nails done there and have something to
Yeah,
eat. It's like so decadently divine.
the whole day. And that's where I go. Yeah, I go Selfridges, then I take a train to Paris and
Right.
then go
Okay,
there.
well, I'm gonna send you my dates. Maybe we can meet. Okay, I wanna, sort of wind us up with a couple of things. One is that I know this about you, so it's a secret reveal, but you are a very big hiker, and you spend a lot of time on Mount Tam, and actually, you're pretty impressive because you're an endurance hiker, and it sounds like after listening to you that that is very much a mindset for you of tied to the business as well. So, are you still out there on the trails, and how long
I
are you going
I
for?
am. Where are you today, Jody? I set aside Friday afternoons for hiking,
Yeah.
and yeah, I go up the Tennessee Valley Trail over to Muir Beach, up to Mount Tam,
Far,
and
Morgan,
then
she
those
goes
great
far.
hikes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you are just a slow and steady wins the day, so that's, I think, one of your mantras. And then what's on the horizon? You obviously have a good eye for what's going on in terms of fashion, but what's the goal for your business over the next year?
maybe I'll dabble in homeware, because I sit there watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever I watch, and I need that cozy blanket to wrap up in and fall asleep to. So, knit blankets.
Morgan, I
Uh,
have one of your knit blankets on my bed in Miami. I have a cashmere blanket, Morgan, that gray one. It's a gray, it was a throw. Do you remember this? It's like
oh
a
yeah,
yeah. So I
yes,
have a Margaret O'Leary blanket.
yeah. So I'm going to go back in again and make some blankets, cashmere and cotton, because there are people that are a little allergic to wool or cashmere.
Yeah.
So cotton is a beautiful choice.
I was
Like,
gonna say I would vote, I also I mean, I have to vote because I have some of those old, Pendleton blankets, which are really thick, and I just think given all the other patterns of your sweaters, if you need someone to sample out anything that you're making and see how it looks and take pictures and send it to your social media team,
Volunteer.
volunteer as tribute. You can so I'll
yes,
send you my address, whatever you need someone's opinion.
absolutely, Morgan. Yeah, and I got some baby blankets sitting around too
Oh,
that
yeah.
I'm
Okay,
sending your
good.
way.
Speaking of that, my grandmother, which by the way, and her birthday is July 13th. So I'm talking to this little lady being like, can you please be 86 years apart, the two of you? Like, wouldn't that be so fun? Like,
Yeah,
can't we
that would
put
I vote for that too. What a
right. So
nice
I said
image.
the same thing. I'm like, come on, like this is the person to be born on the same day with. Like, she's wonderful. Like,
Oh,
you would be lucky to
oh,
follow in
Yes,
her
you would
line.
be lucky to
Right,
follow in her
and
line.
my grandmother and my grandfather were in England, which is not Ireland, but nearby, and they were
yes.
in the Cotswolds, and they went into a shop where they were hand knitting sweaters, and I kid you not, I just got the box in the mail, and, like, they're these hand knit sweaters with the buttons and the hood and, like, the matching beanie and the whole thing, so it really is, I think we talk a lot about on this podcast how you do anything is how you do everything, and you truly are a testament to that because your mindfulness towards your business and the clothing and then also the hiking and your personal life and everything else has clearly had a very consistent through line.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Margaret, it's so great to have you on the podcast. My next trip to San Francisco, I'm going to make sure that I carve out at least a day and hopefully a Friday in advance so I can get out there with you. I'm not sure I'm going to make it all the way from Tennessee Valley to Muir Beach, but maybe
You'd
you'll
have to put Jody in one of
Yes,
those backpacks to
maybe you'll
carry
give me a
around.
break and we could just go like
Jody,
half the distance and end up for cocktails in Mill Valley would be perfect.
that's right. We'll end up in the new corner bar in Mill Valley.
I would
Perfect.
love that.
Thank you for joining us today for the CapLander podcast. If you loved this episode, share it and make sure to subscribe to CapLander for more conversations like this.